unaffected. The Central Coast in the early days was pretty isolated, even though it was only 60 km from Sydney.
Another world.
It was another world. Yeah, we used to surf half the day and work half the night. And the theory on work was you can do whatever you want to do, but as long as you don't hold the next guy up on a production.
Yeah.
So we used to do 6 a day, 5 days a week, 30 a week. Then I got in business, opened up a surf shop, and with Vic Ford as a partner, and I used to drive down to Sydney every Friday and take down a bunch of boards and drop them at Bondi Surf Shop, the Junction Surf Shop, and then I'd go back to Brookvale and pick up blanks, resin, and more like glass and supplies. Yeah. So I used to do that every Friday, and but I mean, we used to just get such good waves on the Central Coast, and everybody was laid back, and it was pretty good.
Can you tell us the story about the lasers app, how you laid it out on the floor first and had people looking at it?
Yeah, well, I can't even, I'm pretty sure Mark Warren and Larry
Turner,
there.
Bruce Turner?
Eh?
Turner?
Bruce Turner. Bruce Turner was the first guy to ever ride one.
But just how you had it on the floor.
Yeah, well, see, the concept came about making the tail wider so that you didn't have to step forward. So it's sort of, it was basically inspired by Shane, because that's what he wanted to achieve. So I drew one up on a blank, and I took it home, because I think there was Larry, Mark, and then Bruce. I don't know if anybody else was there. And I put it on the floor, and I said, so what do you reckon about this?
So what was it? Was it double-ended tail and a gun nose?
Yeah. Well, exactly. I took the wide round tail and off the double-ender, and then I'd already been to Hawaii by then, so I put a Hawaiian gun nose on the big fat round tail.
And the forward point, the widest point?
Was halfway.
Was halfway?
Yeah. And drew it up, and it looked pretty extreme. And I'm like, I don't know about doing this. And they're all, yeah, do it anyway. See what happens. So I ended up, it was only on a blank drawn up, and I cut it out and shaped it. And Bruce Turner actually rode it for the first time at Avoca Point. And we were all sitting up there looking, waiting to see what had happened. And he was quite a very good surfer, Bruce. He took off on the first wave, and he sort of didn't do too good. It's all like, oh shit, maybe it's not going to be any good. But after he caught about 3 or 4 waves, he got one wave, and he was, as I said, a good surfer. And he used to just go backhand vertical, and he got one in his traditional style, and he's all over the wave like a rash, and we're like, wow, shit, it's working. So he came in after the surf and said, I had trouble at first, but once I got it going, it went unreal.
It had a fin box?
Yeah. And so that was the start of it. That worked pretty good. Then I made a couple more, one for myself and a couple of other guys. I know Damien Hardman and a guy called Todd Ingham were both young, hot grommets at the time. I made them one each. And then Shane was overseas on the tour, and when he came back, he got one too, and then that's when it became the Shane Horan Laser Zap, which was...
But there was a lot of different changes too.
Yeah.
You went wide, you went really extreme, didn't you? You had to bring it back a bit.
I didn't have to. I did, because I got such bad publicity. I started thinking, well, maybe I have gone mad.
Was that the 17-inch tail ones? Or?
18.
19.
And I started getting affected by the media. And
but were the boards going well?
Yeah, they went unreal.
Oh.
But everybody was like, well, not everybody, but the people in control of surfing were like off me. I'd previously been to America. I went in 78 and went backwards and forwards from 78 to 81. And during that time I just had a close relationship with Quicksilver and Rip Curl. And then I went to a meeting at Quicksilver because I was hanging out with Geoff Hackman in California doing promotions for Quicksilver and McCoy. And I went to one of their meetings and they're talking about controlling surfing. And it came up that if they standardised the board, then it would be easier to control. And I'm like, well, I had all these ideas to try to keep on making a better surfboard. So it wasn't long after that I said I can't do it and I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing. So I pulled the pin and I left California and came back to Australia. And when I was in California, I was this guru surfboard designer. And about a month later, I was an idiot that had lost his mind and spun out, lost the plot. And everything I did, because they had a lot of power with magazines at the time, they put 2 or 3 ads into one magazine. And they said no more publicity, no more good publicity for McCoy, only bad publicity or no publicity. So it had a big effect on the whole operation.
Wow. Well, it doesn't seem to affect you now. You still get plenty of orders, Geoff.
Well, all these years later, the effect it had on me was really good, actually. I realised what had happened and I thought, well, I'm not going to let these assholes sink my ship. So I started studying surfboard design a lot harder. And it was worth what I had to go through to know what I know now. Because I just learnt so much more about it. I was just isolated to myself, working on my own virtually, doing, monitoring everything I did. And the knowledge that I gathered over that period of time is amazing. I reckon it was worth all the bummers that I went through to get to know what I do know now.
And you got such a diverse range of boards, everything from 5 feet to 10 feet.
Yeah, it is pretty diversified. I don't even sort of think of it. I'm just doing it, but I guess when I stop and think about it, I'm doing everything from 5 foot to 10 foot, really, and a different style to what other people are doing.
Totally unique.
And the reason I do what I do now is because in my mind, when I was finding out all this stuff, and I realised other people didn't know about it, I thought, well, I'll just be different. I don't want to be, but if I need to do this to what I think I've learnt, they'll be different. So I just did it. And it's turned out all right. I mean, shit, as you just said, all these years later, I've still got more work than I need, and I don't do any advertising. So
word of mouth. I've sold a few boards for you.
Yeah, you have. It's just guys like yourself and other individuals, but they'll get it seems to have worked. Like I make a board for somebody that's riding another brand
in a certain town, say.
Yeah, and then I'll make a board for them, and they get it, and their surfing improves because all they are is a common sense, practical way to go surfing. If you're not trying to be some pro
and their mates try them,
they'll improve. Their mate will get on it and go, wow, and then they'll get one, and then it snowballs from that.
Excellent.
So, and then when you think about it, you can't buy that promotion.
Word of mouth.
The word of mouth has got to be the best promotion. So
And actually riding the board. That's what I give my mates. I say, have a go, and
yeah,
they order them.
it's interesting. They're now called the thinking person surfboard. And like if you follow magazine hype and you follow pro surfing, you're not going to ride a McCoy because your head's in a different space.
So unique boards for unique people.
Well,
No sheep.
probably, but if you're open-minded and you're practical, they have to go. They have to. Like I look at pro surfing and I think these guys could even do better if they rode boards that weren't so hard to ride. Doesn't matter who gets on one; it's hard to ride.
I see them all leaning forward because there's nothing in the tail.
Yeah, well, there's no support forward or back. It's all in the middle, halfway. So they get on their front foot and bounce, and as soon as they stand back, the tail sinks. They go forward, they nosedive. And when they're on steep waves, even the best surfers, they'll go up a steep wave, and if it comes down critical and the nose goes into the water, and all their weight's forward, it'll sink, and they go over the handlebars. Whereas if you've got enough volume in the board in that position, it will fight back. It won't sink, so you get through it. It's only common sense, really, but common sense isn't very common anymore.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the chat, Geoff. We've covered a bit today. Educate a few people.
Well, maybe the thinking people.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Ian. Thank you.